The town of Ravenswood had always been shrouded in mystery. Nestled in a remote valley, it was a place forgotten by time, where the past lingered in the air like a thick fog. Sarah, a young historian with a penchant for the macabre, found herself drawn to this secluded village by tales of its ancient cemetery, a place whispered to be cursed by those brave enough to speak of it. As Sarah stepped off the rickety bus, she felt an immediate chill, the kind that seeps into your bones and refuses to leave. The town seemed deserted, its narrow streets lined with dilapidated buildings that leaned towards each other as if sharing secrets. She pulled her coat tighter around her and headed towards the Ravenswood Inn, where she would be staying during her research. The innkeeper, a gaunt woman with hollow eyes, handed Sarah a tarnished key and muttered something about staying indoors after dark. Ignoring the warning, Sarah settled into her room, eager to explore the cemetery she had read so much about. The cemetery lay at the edge of town, hidden behind an iron gate covered in rust and ivy. As Sarah pushed the gate open, it creaked ominously, the sound echoing through the silent grounds. The cemetery was vast, with rows of ancient tombstones jutting out from the earth like broken teeth. Weeds and vines had overrun the graves, and a thick mist clung to the ground, obscuring her view. Sarah wandered among the tombstones, noting the dates and names etched into the weathered stone. Many were from centuries past, their inscriptions barely legible. As she delved deeper into the cemetery, she stumbled upon a particularly old section, the graves marked by elaborate statues and mausoleums. One statue in particular caught her eye, a stone angel with a sorrowful expression, its wings partially broken. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the cemetery took on a different character. Shadows lengthened and deepened, and the temperature dropped noticeably. Sarah, engrossed in her exploration, barely noticed the encroaching darkness. It wasn't until she heard the first whisper that she realized how late it had become. At first, she thought it was the wind rustling through the trees, but the sound was unmistakably human, a soft, sibilant murmur that seemed to come from all around her. Heart-pounding, Sarah turned in circles, trying to locate the source of the whispers. She saw no one, only the silent graves and the darkening sky. Determined to stay calm, Sarah pulled out her flashlight and began making her way back towards the entrance. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, and she felt an overwhelming sense of being watched. Panic set in as the path seemed to stretch endlessly before her, the gate nowhere in sight. Suddenly, a figure stepped out from behind a tombstone. Sarah's flashlight beam caught the gaunt face of the cemetery caretaker. His eyes wide with fear, he rushed towards her, grabbing her arm with a grip that was surprisingly strong for someone so frail. "You shouldn't be here," he hissed, his voice a frantic whisper. "The dead don't rest easy in Ravenswood." Ignoring the caretaker's warnings, Sarah decided to return the next night, armed with the journal she had found in the town's dusty library. The journal belonged to Margaret, a woman accused of witchcraft and executed in the 17th century. Her final entries hinted at a powerful curse she had placed upon the town and its cemetery. As midnight approached, Sarah positioned herself near the angel's statue, convinced it was the key to unraveling the cemetery's mystery. The air grew colder, and the whispers began anew, more intense than before. She opened the journal and began reading aloud the incantation Margaret had written in a shaky hand. A sudden gust of wind extinguished her flashlight, plunging her into darkness. The whispers turned to anguished wails, and a figure materialized before her. A spectral woman with hollow eyes and a twisted expression of rage. It was Margaret, her ghostly form flickering like a candle in the wind. "You dare to invoke me?" Margaret's voice was a guttural growl. "You will suffer as I have suffered." The ground trembled and graves began to crack open. Decaying hands clawed their way out of the earth, and Sarah found herself surrounded by the restless dead. Desperation took hold as she realized the full extent of Margaret's curse. Sarah frantically flipped through the journal, searching for a way to break the curse. Margaret's ghost loomed closer, her eyes burning with hatred. Just as all seemed lost, Sarah found a passage detailing a ritual of atonement. With shaking hands, she performed the ritual, invoking the names of the innocent souls wronged by the witch trials. The ghostly figures paused, their mournful wails softening. Margaret's form wavered, and for a moment, Sarah saw a glimmer of the woman she once was. a victim of fear and ignorance. With a final sorrowful whisper, Margaret,